On Sunday, we welcomed back the I am not a painter sticker, and today we've got a little top up on the sticker situation again. We were out of stock there of the It's a Pencil stickers for a little while, so they are now back in circulation. And also our friend Stop Mooing, the live link to the shop is down in the description, and it leads on to suggest that that allows us to have our cave sticker packs back. So this is a selection of all of our favourite phrases in one bumper sticker pack for your pleasure. So you can go and check those out in the shop today and get yourself a little treat. Y'all do like the stickers, don't you, cavers? Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and today we're back in Rita Berman's Journey Through Asia. I love this little book. I've been missing out on the Rita Berman substantially for years, and I feel a bit hard done by you, honestly. We're back here with our cosy little train station, and today we're going to finish off this archway and we'll see where that takes us thereafter. I am recycling pencils today. We are using the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, which is a cave favourite. I do supply these over on the Stash Shop, so if you're looking to build up your collection, I do sell all of them open stock. We're a little bit low in stock just now. I will be getting more pencils in due course. So we will be reusing the colours from here. This is the plan, and this is to help tie the image together and get some uniformity, because I'm thinking this looks quite grand here, this archway, so get some of those gilded colours in. We may pinch some more of the brick colours. I'll wait and see how we get on. If I add in any more pencils, as always, I will always tell you. So the pencils that we've got today then are the, where to start? Good grief. We have got green gold, which is 268, dark Naples ochre 184, light yellow ochre 183, brown ochre 182, all the ochres. I've also got raw umber, which is 180, and a cave favourite again is dark sepia 175. As I said, these are just the colours that we'd used in the lamppost, so nothing new. It is a beautiful morning here at the cave, and I for one am so glad, because I have been so fed up with the blinking rain and grey skies. We've not really had a summer at all, and everyone else is sweltering, so I'm glad to see the sun is out behind me over here. In fact, let's start up here. I am starting up here on account of being left-handed, and this is easier for me. You might want to start over here. The idea is to tie everything together here. I see there's a little bit of texture in behind here, and I want to keep that consistency, so I'm going to take my raw umber, which is the colour that we've used on these bricks here, and I am going to start filling in these sections. The idea here is to sort of frame the picture, but there's also quite a few inconsistent areas as well, so this may help us work out what we are, what we need to do to tie everything together. Interpret. I nearly said interpretate there. That's not a word. Yes, so that will help us interpret certain areas, like what to do down here. Talked a little bit about those last time. Although I'm quite energetic, like I'm in a good mood this morning, I am quite tired. The boys were out harvesting wheat last night, and unfortunately they were in the field directly in front of our house, which is only about 20 feet, maybe a little bit more, from my bedroom window. So yeah, even though Mr. Jem was actually working, I was kind of up too. So I had a little bit of a lie-in this morning, and quite ironic after talking about being an early bird and a morning person in the last video, I had a bit of a lie-in this morning. I didn't get up until 7:30 this morning, which I know for a lot of people, like, that's a really normal time, especially if you work at, a 9 to 5 job. That's really late for me. That's like super late for me. And my brain's just a wee bit muddled this morning, honestly. But we'll get there. It's fine. I've got some tea to perk me up, and it's only 10:20. There is time. By lunchtime I'll be okay. So she says, hopefully. I'm going to jump to the dark Naples ochre now, and I'm going to cover this entire crest. Is that what we're calling it? I don't know if that's what we're calling it, but that's what we're going to call it. Oh yeah, shiny. So I am looking forward to our live stream next Wednesday, our work in progress Wednesday. So hopefully that is going to be the first of many, and I hope some of you will be able to join for the afternoon. The one thing I really like about the live streams is obviously I get to interact with everyone in real time, but also if people can't make it, people can still enjoy it, you know, watching it as a playback, as a replay video. Now straight away my gut reaction there was to put this in these little sections in here, so I'm just going to do it. And I kind of want to do, oh yeah, look, see, this is what I'm saying about figuring things out. I kind of want to do this part here. It's just like a gut instinct, so I'm just going to do it. I haven't really planned this part out. I knew roughly what I wanted to do. Like, I wasn't completely clueless before we came into this, but you know, by accident there, I've just kind of made this into a section that I'm going to work on, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So I want to create a similar effect as I have on my lamp post or clock post or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just a post. I want to do the same up here because I feel like this is gilded and quite grand. So I'm going to take the light yellow ochre and the brown ochre, and we're going to get to work with these. And I'm going to start over here. So assuming that this is 3-dimensional, then that section in there is going to be pretty dark. So I'm not doing anything different here to I did in the initial video. It's all going to be the same sort of technique. Now again, this outside edge, assuming the light's coming from this direction, we don't really want to do an awful lot with that. We just want to make this a bit richer. So this is back to the dark Naples ochre, our original colour, which confusingly is lighter than the light yellow ochre, so just be aware of that if you're jumping back and forth, or you're like me and you only half pay attention because you're doing 6 other things at once. Okay. The brown ochre really is the key pencil here because this is the one that gives the dimension, because you're using it as like a shadow colour almost. A contouring pencil, that's probably a better description. There we go. See, sounding a bit more professional. Okay, there we go. That's pretty nice. And I think this is going to be fairly dark in here, so I'm just going to pop that in and then go to town with my ochre, the brown ochre. I keep going to call this raw umber because raw umber's sitting right beside me. I thought this was a shadow up here. It's actually a smudge mark. I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm pretty sure it's off the side of my hand. So the way to remedy this is to, first of all, grab my kneaded eraser, flatten it out a bit, and sort out the side of my hand with that. That's a really handy tip for you there. And you can see it's picked up the colour, no problem. That's because I've been leaning on this part, so I'm going to have to be more careful. And I'm just going to take this round very gently. Here we go. Problem solved. I find that kneaded erasers are much better for that, just generally, because they're a bit more gentle, they tend to work well for things like that, where it's transfer colour and not actually scribbled on colour. You can pick up a kneaded eraser really cheap. If it's something you don't have in your colouring toolkit, I would highly recommend it. And see, it doesn't break the bank either. I've just grabbed a little bit of tracing paper here. This is my preferred paper of choice for colouring because you can still see what's going on underneath it. So that'll stop that dark colour transferring onto my hand while we're working away here and having any more of those mishaps. To be fair, that's something I should have done from the start. I'm just, like, it's a really bad habit. I'm like, it'll be fine. See, if I was working on a graphite drawing, that would be like the first thing I would do, but when it comes to colouring, I'm just like, it'll be okay, don't worry about it. Lazy gem. I'm gonna bring in this light yellow ochre. I feel like this might be like a convex shape, and that's maybe what that line is up, like across the middle there. Oh my god, I can't enunciate today. I'm really sorry guys, this is like sloppy gem you're getting today. Sloppy gem. Speaking of sloppy gem, Thea and I were discussing cavemas. It's unfortunately, believe it or not, we are thinking about kind of getting going with stuff. We're not quite ready yet, but we had the discussion, and Thea mentioned we were talking about various aspects of cavemas, and she said if you ever get fed up getting drunk on the live streams, I was like, don't be silly, I'm Scottish. That really tickled me. That's quite funny. There's not much chance of that happening. Kind of go through like notions and kind of periods of where I drink more, and then I spend a wee while and I don't, I hardly drink at all. But I always make sure I've got my drinking muscle warmed up for Christmas. Can't believe it's August. I'm talking about Christmas. I'm sorry, guys. Shh, Jen. This outside part where these little lines are sticking out, I want to make that really dark. So I'm going to dip into the raw umber and possibly the dark sepia as well, really to get the sense that this is a button that's been pushed in. And there is that sort of 3-dimensional feel to it. I should be able to manage this without too much problem. Without too much hassle. Was that even a word? God, struggling today. Okay. It's really interesting as well, and I notice it more on camera. I notice how not brown I am, and it's because we just haven't had any sun, and I also haven't been on holiday this year. And normally I'm brown as a berry by now, and I'm really not. And I just think that that's quite interesting. And that's not me, you know, not to go out and sunbathe and try and, you know, like get skin cancer, but just generally being an out and about person. And obviously having Italian lineage as well, I do take a tan very quickly, and it's a nice sort of like deep golden brown colour. It's not that like dirty leathery colour that Mr. Jem goes, and I just don't have it. Mr. Jem and we will be trying to take a holiday in March, probably around my birthday, just after my birthday. That's the plan, because we were trying to get away in November, but we would rather get on and get stuff done in the house. That's more important for us right now. We've decided we're going to go in March, and that's the first holiday abroad we will have had since our honeymoon, which was 2018. We had no plans to go away in 2019, just because we were, you know, we'd obviously forked out a lot of money for the wedding and the honeymoon, so we're like, right, okay, let's gather our finances back together. And then, well, pandemic ruined it, 2021 and 2022, and this year again. Well, we found out we were moving, so that was the end of that. We probably could have gone away last year, but things were getting quite stressful at the old place. And that was kind of the start of the decisions that we couldn't sustain what we were doing. But that's fine, everything happens for a reason. If we can get stuff with the house sorted, then that'll be good. And it will take time. So this is the dark sepia, and you can see what this is doing here. It's really making that centrepiece pop out. I want to blend this out because I don't want it to look sort of, you know, dirty. Well, I kind of do want it to look dirty dark, honestly. But I'm going to use the brown ochre to just blend this out a little bit and follow those protruding lines that are coming out from it. Yep. So we seem to be getting on okay, but a holiday, it's got to happen. I need a holiday, like I really do. I haven't stopped or taken a break at all since my honeymoon, and I don't include Christmas because there's literally 2 days of Christmas where I don't do anything. But when I'm not doing that, I'm cooking and doing that kind of thing. I've still got all the housework to do, and obviously loads of cavemas stuff to do, so I really don't stop at any point. I think if I stopped I'd probably just pass out, and that would be the end of me, truthfully. But you do have to slam the anchors on sometimes, and I'm ready, like, oh yeah, I need 2 weeks of like drinking rum and lying on a beach somewhere, or, you know, just something like that. But anyway, yeah, hopefully next year, even if it's just a week, we can get away. Because the problem as well, when we've moved here in farming, when you move somewhere new, you move to a new premises, you really need 12 months because you need the full cycle of seasons to figure out, you know, where the work is that you need to do and where needs improvement, and, you know, really when you can leave things alone and the, you know, the place isn't going to burn down if you go away for a week. So there, you know, we've kind of got to go through that, but right now taking some time to ourselves is a little bit more important. Okay, there we go. I'm quite happy with that. So this other side is obviously just going to be a mirror image of what's going on this side. I'm not doing anything different, so I'll get that done, and then we can look at this kind of background, latticey background part. So I'd love to hear from any of you that have been on holiday this year and where you have gone on holiday. Give me a little bit of holiday envy. Mr. Jem and I have this weird tradition of going on holiday to places beginning with M. And we were thinking about going to Malta. Malta's quite warm in March, so that's a bonus. So the other place I'd really like to go to is Machu Picchu. But part of that is because I just want to say I've been to the deepest, darkest depths of Peru. 10 cave points if you get the reference. Yeah, because I kind of like, I've got a wee bit of the explory Indiana Jones about me. I like to go exploring, preferably off the beaten track, because that's what I'm used to, and potentially get myself in a little bit of trouble while I'm there, which has been great. Moving here was the best thing that could have happened to me for that, because it's taken me nearly 8 weeks to explore properly, and I'm not done yet. There's still places that I haven't been, and obviously take Pip and Jock. I did actually lose Jock at one point. We'd ended up in this sort of dense thicket in the woods, completely lost. There was no path, like there was just no path at all, and it was all really overgrown. But I found what looked like a deer track, and I was like, well, the animal obviously has a purpose, because this is, you know, it's quite well trodden, so there must be an entry and an exit point. So I was like, okay, think like a deer. But the little deer we've got around here, they are really small, so there was a lot of places where I had to like duck down And I was too busy concentrating on that, and I turned round and Pip was in front of me. She was a couple of paces in front of me, and there was just no sign of Jock anywhere. And I was like, oh God, I've lost my dog. And out of the two dogs, I would panic less if I'd lost the younger dog, but obviously Jock's a bit older. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him, but it's just me and my brain, like, oh God, older dog. So I'm shouting him, and then stopping and pausing to see if I can hear any movement in the undergrowth, because obviously crunchy leaves, branches crackling, and there was nothing. It was like dead silent. And I was like, oh God, where is he? I was like, please tell me I've not lost him, because I don't know how I'm going to find him in this. And so I kept moving and stopping, like calling out. And Pip's looking at me like, oh my God, we've lost Jock. Like, you could see the panic on her face. And I'm like, it's okay, we'll find him. This went on for maybe a couple of minutes at most. It felt like a century, but it was a couple of minutes at most. And all of a sudden I stepped out into this clearing, and here he is lying quite nonchalantly on his side, looking at me and wagging his tail as if to say, yeah, what took you so long? I was like, oh, for God's sake, Jock. I was like, could you not just have given me a sign to let me know you were okay? But he obviously realised he must have been much further ahead and realised that the path opened out. So he knew that I was going to pop out there. So in his mind, in proper collie logic, well, she's coming this direction, so she's going to end up here. So I'll just wait here. And I was doing that was a little bit of relief. I wasn't in full scale panic mode, but I was starting to get a little bit worried. I don't like that when that happens. We could have made this look out to the outside, but I think honestly it would just looked a little bit odd there. I feel as if, this is like a big, massive, thick brick archway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the raw umber and the dark sepia, and I'm going to fill this in as if it's like really shadowy in behind. And what that's going to do hopefully is make this nice gilded mesh part pop out. I'm going to treat this as two sections, so this one's going to be section 1, this one's going to be section 2. So not much happening exciting in the cave this week. We're just chuntering along this week. I've been speaking to a lot of window salesmen this week. That's been the thing. The main thing that's causing the problem is timescales. Some of the big companies, larger window companies, the kind of like well-known ones in the UK and in Scotland, the lead time for them to get their windows and doors, one of the firms said 14 weeks. And I was like, I know, come on. Even I know it doesn't take 14 weeks to get windows made from scratch, even if they are really busy. So, and I said to the guy, I said, I can't wait. I said, that would take us up until Christmas. I can't wait that long. I've got builders coming. I've got an extension going on here. And that's going to be started before Christmas. I need the windows in before that. And he's like, oh, well, I can't really do anything about it. And I was like, well, yeah. But to add insult to injury, the quotes that I got from a couple of the larger companies were absolutely insane, insane. And I don't know a lot about double glazing. Papa Gem actually used to make windows, UPVC windows. That was an enterprise that kind of sat alongside his main business. It ended up being an awful lot of work, and he didn't pursue it longer term. But he knows a little bit about windows because of that. And I had quite a few chats with him, and he was like, the money that they're charging is crazy money. There will be smaller firms that will do equal quality windows, but and he says, you might get them quicker as well. So that's what I've been up to. So I'm hoping to get this, the ball rolling properly with the windows and commit to something in the next week or so, because time's going on, and we're going to blink and it's going to be Christmas and there's going to be nothing done. But the urgency with this is we're taking out a patio door in the lounge and turning it back into a normal window, and this is so that we can place our sofa properly. Don't want the sofa backing onto a patio door, because the back of the sofa is going to get all faded. We need plasters and everything in the living room, and we've got a wood burning stove that needs replaced as well. So we need to get on, but the windows need to be done first so that everything else can be done. So that's where we're going with that, but I'm desperately trying to get that buttoned up. I understand nobody's going to come next week and fit windows, I get that, but 14 weeks is outrageous. That's a long time to wait. I'm wondering if maybe I should run a little bit of sepia along here as well. I feel like that might be a thing. I like that. Oh, that was a bit high up. The first question I've asked every salesman that's been in is, can I have a sage green front door? And they're like, yes, you can have a sage green front door. Yes. It's that's all I care about. Make it pretty. Okay, let's shift over to this side. Oh, I've got I've got this little bit to do as well. I'm going to do that. There we go. Blah, beautiful. Right, let's move over to this other side now. I stepped outside for a second there. Pip was kind of squeaking at me, so she needed the bathroom. And I popped my head outside for a couple of minutes. And it is absolutely lovely outside. It's not too warm either. I know it's still quite early. It's not even midday yet. It's a very pleasant temperature. It's not too warm at all. And it kind of makes me want to sit out with a beer. Thankfully, there is no beer in the house. And I have stuff to do. I've got a fair bit of work to do with the aforementioned sticker stuff. That was my plan for later on this afternoon, was to put together the sticker packs so that by the time you guys see this, you can head over to the stash shop and grab them, as per my advertisement at the start of this video. So yeah, and obviously drinking beer out in the sun is not really conducive to that. One must be disciplined. And I was having a conversation about working from home, because it seems to be now, after reading some articles on one thing and another, the people that were originally office-based and had work from home over the pandemic, a lot of them are now back in their offices and they're totally over the work from home thing. Now, I knew that was going to happen because it's not for everyone, but I always tell everyone you have to be very self-motivated to work from home and or to be self-employed, because when you're in the office, now having been someone that works in the city, so speaking from experience here, when you are in the office, you're more productive because you're forced into being more productive, because there's usually somebody standing over you or at least keeping an eye on you, unless you're at the top of the food chain, obviously, if you're a CEO or whatever. When you are at home, you have to be very disciplined. And it's advantageous to almost pretend that you're still going into the office. I would never come through, because my bedroom door is now opposite the cave. So I literally fall out of one door and fall into the other one. I never, ever, ever, ever come through to the cave and work in my pyjamas. Ever. Unless it's a Sunday morning and I'm just like putting a title on a video, when I mean I'm actually like having full day's work. I don't sit in my pyjamas and drink coffee. I get dressed as if I was going to work in an office, or I had to leave the house. To be fair, I don't put any makeup on, but that's more my skin complaining than anything else. You do have to find like a work mode. It's really important, because if you don't, you will not be able to sustain your productivity. Work from home suits me down to the ground. Obviously, my proper job, I've been doing that for years, long before work from home. I'm trying to think, actually, 10 years maybe. Yeah, about 10 years. So, the work from home thing, I'm like a veteran. I'm like a pro at it. But it's not for everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am a total homebody anyway. I'm not interested in going outside, because if I go outside, that means I've got to talk to people. We all know how I feel about people. It really, really works for me, but people think that, thought that was going to be the best thing ever. But when the novelty wears off, people start to see that it is actually really hard work, because it's like there's so many distractions. One of the main things that I struggle with working from home is my weight, because the fridge is right there. Oh, I'll take a break. Oh, look, there's the fridge. That's really difficult, and a lot of people have put on weight because they're not making that commute, so they're not walking anywhere, and they're not dodging about the office going to speak to their manager or going to the water cooler or out for lunch or whatever. So there's that inactivity, and I've got to try very hard to remain active and get up and down every sort of hour or so, especially when I'm working for the cave, when I'm working for myself. It is very tempting just to stay in a chair, and I'm very guilty of it. So there's that. But I thought it was really interesting that the novelty started to wear off for some people. And I feel like, I could have told them that, but I suppose people have to find out for themselves. And a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, if two people were together all the time, either working from home or on furlough, that was causing all sorts of problems as well. In truth, now that it's all over, the pandemic really didn't have an impact on us very much, other than we couldn't go to the pub, which, Mr. Jem and I like to do occasionally just to get away from the farm. Pretty much life is normal for us. It really was, because the animals still need fed. The Mother Nature keeps turning, even though there was a pandemic on. So our day-to-day lives really wasn't affected at all. For example, my grocery shopping, I get it delivered to me, and I've always done that because I hate supermarkets. That's one of I hate to use this word, but it's kind of one of my triggers. See, for anxiety purposes, the supermarket will do it to me every time. If I'm just nipping in and out for a few odds and ends, I can cope with that as long as it's on my own terms. having to go for a full shop in a supermarket is my idea of hell, and I'm not very good at it. And a lot of the time, if I'm forced into that position, I will take Mr. Jem with me for moral support. Mr. Jem is absolutely amazing when it comes to shopping. One of the things he likes about me as his wife is the fact that I don't like going shopping. Because obviously, you know, the old stereotype of men sitting outside a women's changing room on a Saturday, absolutely bored out their skull. You know, there's none of that with me. And it's just because I don't like it. So he's very, very good when we do go out somewhere. He's excellent at keeping me where I need to be. He's a sweetheart. I'm just having a wee thing there, so just like paused mid-conversation. I'm going to deal with this first before we move down to this part here. So I'll just do that real quick. The whole pandemic thing didn't affect me really in terms of like my day-to-day life, and it didn't put any strain on Mr. Jem and I either. Again, I would like to think, you know, we've been together a long time and we are little creatures of habit, so the fact that our pattern wasn't disrupted, we very rarely fight. We're just not, I just shout, and because I'm all blustered and you know, angry Italian, jumping up and down and throwing things, and then after like 10 minutes it's over. And Mr. Jem just absorbs that like a sponge. It just doesn't bother him at all because he knows there's no weight behind it. It's just me being Italian. And he knows as well, you know, if I say something really hurtful, which has been known, and Papa Jem's bad for it as well, that's where I get it from, obviously. I will always apologise if I'm out of line, like always. Because 9 times out of 10, you know, it's this explosive temper, and I mean, I can't control it. If I could, I would. I've definitely mellowed out over the years, that's for sure. I don't lose my temper nearly as much as I used to. It's very few and far between now. But when I do, it's like, oh, you better duck. But if something comes out my mouth and it's, you know, really not very nice at all, I regret it before it's even left my lips. And I will always apologise because I realise that it can be very hurtful. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not actually trying to hurt the person. But see, Mr. Jem just, he's like, yeah, whatever. Not bothered. I always liken him to the, if anybody's ever seen Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, the knight that has all the bits falling off him and he's like, 'tis but a scratch. That's basically Mr. Jem, but with everything like figuratively and literally. I'm going to get him a black helmet and some chainmail, I think. Right. I don't know how you guys feel about this. This part I'm definitely going to make part of the train because that just follows that nice line round there. Now, when we come down to this pillar, I kind of want this to be a mix of the sort of gilded stuff, but also I think I might use these paving colours. I was going to use the brick colours. No, I think the browns would be better because the browns will stand out nicely next to the red brick and that will tie in with what's up here. Okay, right. So let's decide what's going to be a gilded part and what's going to be a brick part. So to denote that, I'm going to use the dark Naples ochre for the gilded parts, and I will use the brown ochre again like I did up here for that. So this is me figuring out in my mind what parts I want to be what colour. And I find this is really helpful. So that's definitely going to be a gilded part. So you don't even need to colour this in. Like I'm literally just like making a mark there. But if I do that and make the background brown ochre, that's going to mean this whole section. That's not a bad idea, actually. I'm just thinking out loud. Right, so this will be gilded. And this will all be brown ochre and around those parts as well. Okay. So now let's have the background in here, the brown ochre as well. And then we can really go to town with this great big illuminated letter. Ho-ho! And then this part here. Okay, right, so I'm going to start by working on the brown ochre part. I'm going to have to sharpen my pencil for this as well because there's lots of teeny weeny wee spaces in here. Again, Tagal multi-sharpener. My sharpener of choice for coloured pencils. Nice long pointy point. I put it in a number 5 from the Polychromos. And I'm just going to start in these sections here, and I'm just going to stop that there because there's those little dots there. It's the perfect place to stop. And again, all I'm doing here is just making this into really manageable sections. Again, for those of you all made the comments about sometimes, you know, things being overwhelming. That's how I deal with that. And I'm going to go straight to the dark sepia. That's just the way of it here, and really get some contrast going here. I don't know how much time you all have spent in train stations. I did see a really interesting infographic the other day, and it was a map of the world, and it had all the train line routes marked for every country in the world. And when you look at the UK and Europe, that's well, we're part of Europe, you know what I mean. When you look at the UK and Europe next to the US is like 65 gajillion times the size of the UK, and yet we have far more rail networks. I just thought that was really interesting. So us and the other Europeans, we seem to like the train situation. Uh, spent a lot of time in train stations. If I have to take public transport, I will take a train over a bus any day of the week. Any day of the week. My favourite mode of transport is boat. That would be my first choice, but obviously you can't overland in a boat, so that's a problem. But yeah, I'm quite happy to take a train. Train stations are really grubby, dirty places, like they really are. Even the clean ones are grubby. And most of them are quite old as well. Especially you go down to London. I love the train stations in London. I don't love London that much, but the train stations are fabulous. At least I'm on theme here with these conversations. Some of them are quite a spectacle, they really are. But I just find them really dirty, smelly places. It kind of reminds me of I don't know if any of you are on Reddit. I like Reddit. Reddit's fun. And it's one of the questions, there's a thread called Ask Reddit, and somebody said, what is something about New York that you wish the media would stop glamorising? And someone said the fact that the whole place doesn't look like the West Village and that it's actually a really dirty, smelly, because New York a lot of the time is portrayed as this big glamorous city, but the reality is it's just a smelly, dirty city as any other smelly, dirty city. And I thought that was quite interesting. And they were referring specifically to all these, US TV programs and sitcoms that are set in New York, and like 99 times out of 100, it's affluent areas, and it's made to look all very nice and all the rest of it. And apparently, a lot of New York is not like that. Who'd have thunk? Okay, so you can see the effect that I've gone for here. Really darkened that down, and that's just going to allow when we start the gilded parts. I was going to make this little oval frame here really pop out. And that is literally just 2 pencils. So we'll make this side match there. I think I'd probably die if I had to go to New York on account of not liking people and not liking busy places. Like, don't think that's a place for Jem. I'd probably be okay for like a weekend or something. I would probably manage, but that would definitely not be good for my mental health, I don't think. I like open spaces and fresh air where you don't see people for hours. Right, we've got that wee bitty finished off now. You can see the difference that that's going to make. Nice and rich and deep and dark. So I'm going to do exactly the same idea, and I'm going to utilise quite a lot of the sepia in around this illuminated letter. Again, just thinking about grubby train stations, as you do. In between these little nooks and crannies, because this is very intricate, that's going to gather a lot of dust. And even if it's magical purple fairy dust that these trains are scooting out, still going to be pretty mingy. That's what I think anyway. If anyone thinks different, I would love to hear your theory down in the comments section. Like, if it's magical purple smoke that's coming off this train, maybe it has the opposite effect. Maybe it cleans things up, and maybe I've got it all wrong. Who knows? Something quite funny happened the other day when I was sorting out my pencils. I was actually working on another piece of art, of my own art, and I noticed that this pencil here, this brown ochre's getting pretty small, and I thought to myself, God, I'll need to order a new one. I'll look and see what else I've got, and order them all together. And then I stopped myself. I was like, Jem, you've got a full shelf of them. I actually forget that I stock these pencils. I was like, yeah, I don't have to order Polychromos open stock for myself ever again. I can just steal them from the stash shop. It's like first time I've truly appreciated the perk of being an art supplies shop owner. You never have to worry about running out of brown ochre ever again. Okay, I just keep working my way around here. I left a little mark there. That was just a little spasm, but I'm just going to leave it there. It'll make it look more organic. The other question I have for you guys, and I would really appreciate it if you could take time to leave a comment on this one. Is there anything in particular when it comes to colouring that you struggle with or avoid colouring because you don't know what to do with it? I would be really interested, because I know that some of y'all are very seasoned colourists by now, and some of you have been colouring longer than I have. And I was just wondering if there's anything that that you avoid specifically, or something that you maybe aren't so confident colouring. Obviously, if you're a newer colourist, then there's going to be a couple of things. But if you've got any thoughts on that, I would love to hear them, because I think what I would quite like to do, I don't know, maybe in a live stream, or maybe as a series of videos. We could call the series "Stuff That People Don't Want to Colour." I would be, because I know there's things that I avoid, but it's mostly because I don't enjoy colouring them rather than finding them problematic. Humans is one. I just don't enjoy. But weirdly, I don't enjoy drawing humans either, so I don't know whether that's got anything to do with it. But see, getting colours right, especially if there's ears involved, oh my god, that's so much work. And I'm like, yeah, no, I would rather not do that. So if there's anything like that you feel is maybe you're avoiding it, or maybe it's like shiny surfaces, or I don't know. Yeah, love to hear your thoughts on that, and maybe that's something we could think about as a wee series. Take a break from, the colour alongs, do something a wee bit different. Always up for your input and stuff like that. Just get this little bottom part done here, and then we can move on to the gilding. I don't really have much to add at this point, because this is exactly the same as I was doing up the top. And to be fair, I feel like I've been quite chatty this video. I don't think there's any need for me to continue to chat quite as much. I'll just get this done. Back to the dark Naples ochre now, and again, just going to take this a section at a time. So let's start at the top here. Right, let's get going here. I feel as if I've been doing this forever. Is it just me? I feel as if this video is going to be like 4 hours long. With the magic of editing, all shall be right with the world. I do have, I've got quite a bit of work to do for my proper job as well. My internet's, it's not actually my internet. My connection to the work server has been dodgy for some reason. And I actually think it might be the laptop rather than the anything to do with the connection. Because obviously I've been running cave stuff off of my internet connection, which is our business connection, and everything's been fine. So I know it's not that, because all that would be down as well. So we're trying to figure it out. Me and one of the IT guys, we're trying to solve a little mystery. So I've got all that to deal with, but I've actually got a butt ton of work that needs to get done, and I need that VPN connection to complete it. So, bit of a problem. Okay, so switching over to the light yellow ochre and back to our beautifully wonderful brown ochre. And again, like, I'm not doing anything different here. I would love to say that there's some magical technique that's going to be really interesting to show you, but it's not. It's more of the same. So I just want to kind of like get going. One thing I will do is utilise these lines. So there's a solid line in that top right, and it's a dotted line on the left, so I'm assuming that that's going to be a separate little thing all on its own. It's very difficult to figure out how or what's the shape of this metal is, so I would say just go with what you feel. I'm kind of trying to stick to one side here. Now I'm going to make this frame in inverted commas quite dark, and again, this is just so that the illuminated letter, it does look illuminated. That's a dark bit in there. Oh, that was sneaky. Get in there. Gotcha. I need to get the sepia in there for sure. My brain's tired. I don't think I'm going to be quite as perky as I thought I would. I fully intended on going doing a spin class later on. I found a YouTuber actually who does spin classes online, and I can't remember her name. She does some beginner friendly classes, so I thought it was a good idea. Although I used to spin a lot, I used to go to a lot of classes. It's been such a long time, and I'm very, very out of shape and very, very overweight. I thought it would probably be a good idea to start gently so I don't kill myself. So up until now, my spin classes have been going okay. I am very saddle sore. Like my bum is so numb, it is untrue. But apart from that, I'm actually okay. The first class that I did, that I talked about last time, I didn't last the full class. The class was 30 minutes, and I made it to 20 minutes, and I had to stop because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. My heart rate was really, really high. But I gave it like 110% for the full 20 minutes. So since then, I've done another 3 classes, and I've managed to stay the full 30 minutes, like without having to stop or whatever. So yeah, it's going really well, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, apart from the fact I've got a numb bum, I'm just kind of like picking different parts here. This is really intricate, and I feel like I don't want to make it too fiddly, but I kind of do. And I don't want to use, the darkest I'm going is this ochre pencil, and I'm going to use this really sparingly because I want this to really stand out compared to the background here. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm glad that I've got a form of exercise, because my problem is I'm short on time. So when it comes to getting exercise, I need something that's quick and aggressive. I don't have the spare hours in the day to go and walk for 2 hours, even though, well, I find walking kind of boring, honestly. It's better when I've got the dogs. I just don't have time for it, so I need something that's short, sharp, and painful. And spin is definitely that's for sure. So that's working quite well so far, but that's only the first week. So I've done, if I do today, which I have full intentions of doing, hopefully I'll not be too tired, that'll be 4 classes in a week, hoping that that might help me drop some of the initial weight fairly quickly. That looks as if it belongs in the front of a chocolate bar, like a Willy Wonka. Is it just me? Right down to the bottom here, we are on the home straight now. I think all this is stone, and I think that might be a wee gold plaque of some description there. And this is going to be inset, and I think that's going to be gold in there. Gold, or brass, or whatever it is. Okay, yeah, so we're going to use the raw umber, the dark sepia, and the hand's not working, the brown ochre here. This first part we want to be fairly dark, so let's get the old dark sepia on the go here. And then this next part I want to be lighter, because there's going to be some light bouncing off that because it's facing up the way. So we can still put a little bit of shadow, a little bit of shading in there, but we want that to be quite light compared to the other areas. And then this front facing part here, I'm going to make that darker again. So you'll see the contrast here between the part that's facing us and the part that's facing upwards. Again, if there's light coming from inside, it's going to be quite an interesting set of shadows you would have here, because you don't know, although it's coming from inside, you don't know where inside, which is the interesting part. So we'll just darken this down with the sepia, so I'm not pressing hard at all here. As kind of like I said up there, I'm using this more as like a shader pencil rather than actually wanting it to be dark sepia. And I use the dark sepia for that a lot. And then this part underneath I feel is going to be really dark as well. Like that's going to be super dark. Super, super dark. So really going to go in with the sepia this time. The other thing as well is it's more at foot level. I bet you there's going to be a lot of people that have lent bags and cases and guitars and things up against here, or rested their feet on them, or sat cross-legged in front of them. So I just feel that this bottom part generally would be a lot grubbier. Okay, so I want to make this gold. Let's make it a bit more interesting. Okay, so again, we'll make this recede a little bit. We'll make this grubby. Keep this a little bit lighter, this section. So more ochre than umber. I need it to not look like a picture frame. And then as we've done up here, I'm going to do that in the background here. So this is going to be a grubby cubby. I have very specific memories about the word cubby. Cubby is not a commonly used word by Scottish people. We do use it, but very occasionally. So the word cubby for me takes me straight back to primary school, because we had, and it was basically just IKEA cube units before IKEA cube units were a thing, and they were called cubby holes, and they were for your packed lunch boxes that we used to take. Now, when I was young, wow, I'm going to give my age away badly here. My Little Pony was all the rage, and so was He-Man. And it was the square plastic lunch boxes with the handle, and when you open it up, that usually had a matching flask inside, for your juice or whatever it was you were having. And they were quite bulky and noisy and rattly. And there was just this section of the hallway, I suppose kind of like you guys in the US would have lockers in the hallway, and it was all these cubby holes, and it was where your lunch boxes went. They were not kept with your, you didn't take that with your school bag or your book bag. That's one of the only times that word has ever been in regular use in my vocabulary. Very, very specific memories attached to that word. But I am aware that that is a word that, particularly in the US and Canada, is used fairly frequently. And this bottom part I want to be really grubby, so I'm going raw umber all the way. And really going to utilise this dark sepia colour, like round the sides of these little, because there's going to be a film of dirt along that ledge there. Okay, and just this final little part now. Man, I'm going to have a lot of editing to do tomorrow. Sheesh. So just as we did before, the dark. Oh wow, it has been a morning, it really has. The dark Naples ochre first, which is lighter than the light yellow ochre as previously discussed. But we've got a little semicircle here, so let's utilise that. There we go, it's all good. And I'll just blend that out with a little bit of this yellow. Again, I'm keeping it kind of darker just because it's that like grubby floor level. Using the darker colour much more than I had done over here. Because I get the feeling as well, I don't know about you guys, again, this might just be me. I feel like this would be something in the station that would be cleaned by someone, whereas a pillar not so much. But maybe that's just me. Okay, guys, that is it for today. So by tying all this together and using quite similar colours, what that does let us do is means we can go a bit ham with the train and our special purpley pink smoke here. So that's going to be fun, and that's going to be the step that we're going to tackle next time when we come back next Thursday. So hopefully you'll be able to join me for that. In the meantime, go to the stash shop if you want to check out the stickers that are back in stock, and I will see you all back in the cave here on Sunday for another video. So please have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.